to Super Smoke Bros podcast. Four teachers fueling our passion for smoking foods one smoke at a time, discussing step by step recipes, successes, failures, and everything else that we fire up. The bros will be interviewing celebrity pitmasters and your everyday backyard barbecue titans. Cheers to a new episode and smoke on, my friends. All right, welcome back. Season 2, episode 8. It's been a week, but like many of the Wisconsinites here, the flu is rapid going through this state, and my family, like all of our families here, were hit with it. But we're back, and we have an awesome guest. I'm so excited. Really, our mission has been to spread the barbecue word throughout the Midwest, the Wisconsin. Now we have one of their own from Wisconsin on this podcast. So Dean's love for food, grilling, and sports goes way back. On October 16th, 2018, he officially entered the game with the Tailgate Foodie blog. The blog was started because there was a major gap in pregame spreads, a serious lack of flavor. The passion led to the creation of the Tailgate Foodie LLC in July 2020. Dean, with his partners Edgar, Josh, and Luke, launched with 5 amazing seasonings and have spent the last 4 years bringing gourmet to the parking lot, expanding their line of premium seasonings and barbecue sauces exponentially. What began as a hobby has become a passion and the creation of the Tailgate Foodie Company. The guys are dedicated to sharing their knowledge, whether it's about seasonings, sauces, their upcoming Bloody Mary mix, or the multiple books, which soon will be a series. Join us as the Super Smoke Bros dive into the other side of barbecued, including seasonings, rubs, sauces, blogging, and we're going to learn through Dean and how he brings gourmet to the parking lot. We welcome a fellow Wisconsinite, the founder of Tailgate Foodie Company, to the Super Smoke Bros podcast, Mr. Gene Johnson. Welcome, Dean.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
So we're going to start firing away here at you,
Yeah,
Dean.
let's
It's
do it.
awesome having a Wisconsinite on this, and we're so excited. I've been doing a lot of diving into your website and things. So
Yeah.
we're going to start off with Colin. Take it away.
All right. So our first question. We all like the four of us, we've talked a lot about how we got into barbecue and it's different for all four of us. So really just kind of what led you to where you are, maybe some people that helped you or that you kind of took inspiration from and what got you started in your journey in barbecue.
Yeah, absolutely. So I always tell people that my neither of my parents were particularly good or bad at cooking at all. My mom's an excellent baker, but like my dad didn't really season anything. It was never bad, but it wasn't like extraordinary. And like a lot of small town people from Wisconsin, we didn't have a lot of money. So we didn't get to go out and experience those like really high end foods. It was cool to go to Applebee's and Olive Garden. Um, and but they always made us help was the big thing. We always had to help cook. So we were always in the kitchen helping, whether that was, burgers, grilling, or just in the kitchen. It didn't matter. We had to help. So that's kind of where like my love of food and the actual process of cooking, which as you guys get to know me, that's a big part of what I love is the process. Like if it turns out, it turns out awesome. But getting to the point of having a finished product was more fun than the finished product itself.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then the getting started part, and a whole bunch of other people, I would say food wasn't a really big part of my life until I got to college, to be honest with you. I did a stint in the army, so I wasn't really cooking for anybody or anything like that. And then when I got to college, I just cooked for my roommates. I was a 21-year-old freshman, so I was living with a whole bunch of seniors, and I was cooking for them, and it was really, really fun. It was really, really enjoyable. We'd have a couple 2, 3 drinks, and I would go into the kitchen and cook for them. So that kind of just like kept it going. And then when I really started the actual tailgate foodie process, um, was basically, in all honesty, it was I wanted to monetize my hobbies, which was sports. And what better way to do that through food and sports? That's why I started the food blog. So I was a nurse when that officially started, and how that kind of happened was, um, I had a whole bunch of downtime. It was during my first year of nursing. I had a whole bunch of downtime that I had been using uh, for studying for boards and stuff like that. And so I was working 3 days a week and had 4 days off, and I didn't know what to do with it. So I had to find a hobby of some sort. And that's honestly how Tailgate Foodie was spurred. There's a much deeper story behind it that's not great, but silver linings happen. I got the old thump to the head by a patient, and kind of lost my passion for healthcare 6 months into being a nurse. And honestly, without that, I wouldn't have started the food blog or be where I'm at now. So looking back on it, it's like, thanks, dude. Thanks for punching me. Appreciate it.
Just kind of follow up. Were you working, like, what kind of nurse were you where a patient punched you in the head?
Yeah, I was a critical care nurse down in Janesville.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep. It was great.
So not the drunk tank.
No,
Oh.
it was post that.
Okay.
We had taken the tube out in a good way. He was recovering, still a little bit out of it, and didn't want to be in the hospital anymore. So he bum rushed me.
Yeah, naturally.
Yeah.
Wow.
So you kind of started this in your free time.
Yeah.
What was the vision for starting it? Did you think it would go this far and you'd be doing this, 4 or 5 years later?
Honestly, when I first started the idea, I thought that the blog side of things and like the content creation was a lot easier than what I know it is now. Like content creation, people are like, "Oh, you should go get a job." It's like content creation's hard.
Yeah.
It is a
Yes.
difficult
Yes.
thing that people just really don't understand.
Mhm.
Like you could catch a bad algorithm and you could tank out of nowhere, and your finances are gone. So honestly, I kind of jumped into the food blogging world because I really like food, obviously. And like I said, I wanted to monetize my hobby of, potentially getting tax write-offs for sporting events and whatnot. And I always wanted to sell something off of the food blog itself. I didn't know that it was going to turn into what it did, where we have, multiple lines of different types of seasonings. We have sauces. We have, this huge board of things that we want to come out with. So I didn't expect that, but actually, Casey combo. So I sent you guys stuff. I thought I did a while ago, and I screwed up. So I do have a pack of all three of our sauces and our big seasonings coming down to you guys to play around with. And so now that you know this story, Casey combo, which is our Kansas City barbecue rub, and then the All American barbecue sauce, was the seasoning and the sauce that I wanted to sell off of the blog. They just have a name now. So I had a recipe for everything. And like I said, I didn't expect this, whatever this is. I went full-time Tailgate Foodie at the end of 2021. So I've been doing it about 3.5 years full-time. Being self-employed is a wild ride. That's for sure.
I can't imagine.
All right. Yeah, Dean, I appreciate you. You got my message to make sure you're repping the Packers on this podcast.
Boom.
As you know, although I'm not a Packers fan, I do like seeing Zablocki get riled up. So I'm actually shocked that he hasn't put up the Detroit Lions background.
So Dean, I'm from Michigan, Upper Michigan,
Okay,
and
gotcha.
I grew up a diehard Lions fan. Came down here to play football. I have never left, so I love the
Sure.
areas and
Because it's
and
better.
my wife too. Yeah. Well, we won't get into that. But anyway,
So story, the Lions are the only team that isn't represented from the NFC North in the Tailgate Foodie. Luke and Josh are diehard Vikings fans, and
read that,
Edgar
yeah.
Edgar grew up in Chicago. So we have everything except the Lions, and we plan to stay that way.
Yeah. Yeah, I've had 45 years of misery, I always say, and I love my Lions, but they broke my heart again. So,
Yeah. I
they do
felt you
that
for
to
the
me.
past 10 years. So
Yeah, yeah.
All right, so
Uh,
I got a question though. How would you describe the flavors of your Tailgate food brand?
sure.
Food brand, yeah.
So I create all the recipes myself for the products. And as I said earlier, I have no background in food. I've never even worked in a restaurant, which pisses some people off in this industry. And that's fine. I'm a food nerd. The amount of food content that I take in on a daily basis is kind of crazy. Um, I kind of go about creating the flavors from almost like a food science background, even though I don't have that background of, I start off with a base of what if I want to do a regional one, what are the main ingredients that need to be in there to really showcase what the region is. Um, and all the regional ones that I do come up with are locations that I've been to before. So it's not like I've never had that food before or anything like that. But it's kind of hard to pinpoint exactly what the flavor is because we have uh, technically 14 different seasonings. We have the 3 sauces. Um, so one thing that I always do with each one of our products before it comes out onto the market is I make sure that I can cook with it in the kitchen, I can grill with it, and I can smoke with it. So I want to make sure that each one of our products is an all-encompassing. It doesn't matter where you use it; you can use it across the board. What I found is, especially with barbecue seasonings, is like some of them they're fine in the kitchen. They're really really good on the grill or smoker. Like they're not meant to be used in the kitchen. And I didn't want that. I wanted somebody to be able to use my product no matter where they were. And as you've seen, we really enjoy camping and the hunting side of things as well. So I've really deep dove into with our wild game stuff on how to pair different flavors with that type of protein, whether it's goose or because we have a wild game or game bird seasoning or venison. The venison one we actually had somebody smoke a bear heart with, which is super cool. That's fun.
that's
Um,
awesome.
so yeah, I would say I can't pin down an exact like flavor profile, just because we have so many products, but I would say they're all encompassing. You can use them on a multitude of ways. And because I'm so proud of our 3 sauces, I absolutely love our sauces. I make sure that any seasoning that we come out with will pair with at least one of those sauces. Just so that way you can do a little bit of crossing with our products. Marketing.
I know it's kind of like picking a favorite child, which is impossible. But do you have a favorite seasoning and or sauce or both?
Absolutely, I do.
Okay.
100%. So my favorite spicy seasoning, because we have one spicy one, it's Kickin' Chicken, our Nashville hot blend. It was one of our first 5 seasoning that we came out with. I love that stuff. I put it on everything. I've smoked ribs with it. It's absolutely incredible. And my favorite non-spicy seasoning is our Texas Crutch, which is our brisket rub. It's just you can use that on anything, to be honest with you. What I found is with anything that I created specifically for beef is just good on everything because it's just like it's just like a badass salt, pepper, garlic is what it turns out to be almost. And then favorite sauce, hands down, without question, is the All American, which is our take on the classic barbecue sauce. It's a really unique flavor profile because you get, if you look at the label when you get it, there's a fork and a spoon cross our logo, the one behind me, at each location where we draw flavors from. So you get Kansas City sweet tomato, you get like a Memphis savory, which I know that they're not really known for sauce, but you get that savory flavor in there. You get a nice pop of vinegar from the Carolinas and then just a touch of heat from Texas. I call it the ever-changing gobstopper because you can literally feel it change. And it's an incredible sauce.
I can't wait.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. I'm I'm stoked right now.
Right now.
Just stoked.
One thing that I love doing with our products, with specifically with the sauces, is I turn them into like a fry sauce almost, or like a Thousand Island, where because we have an Alabama white sauce, and then we have a Low Country Gold, which is our mustard sauce, and then the All American. So we have three vastly different ones. And I'll mix all three of them together because you have mayo, mustard, and ketchup basically, and then I'll throw in pickle relish, and it is fantastic. It's just a ramped up Thousand Island basically. It's so good.
My wife would love that. I can't
Yeah.
wait to do that.
Yeah.
Oh wow. You guys fired up here, Dean.
Good.
Dean, how has your business evolved since you started? And what new ideas or trends are you most excited about moving forward?
Yeah, it's been a wild one because when we started off, we were just doing we had a kind of a crappy website like a lot of people do to start off, just threw something together. Luckily, I had the food blog to start, but transitioning a food blog into an e-commerce website isn't the easiest thing to do. There's a lot of, especially when you're not a web developer, even our current website is all our handiwork. We learned how to code for like 2 weeks, and I don't know how to do any of that anymore. Like I just brain dumped it. I just don't remember any of it. So when we started, we were just doing farmers markets and had our crappy little website. I was not doing it full time then. It was pretty much a hobby. And we were just trying to figure it out, trying to see if this was a feasible business to even be in, because there's so many heavy hitters with the McCormick's, with as far as sauces with Sweet Baby Ray's, things like that. Like, can we make money and try to fight with those guys? Because obviously we don't have the money. I mean, Sweet Baby Ray's is worth like $500 million, I think.
Yeah.
So like, can we figure that out? And in the first year, we were just doing whatever sales, having good farmers markets, and just pursuing different things of like just trying to figure it out. And we kept on coming back to Amazon. How can we get on Amazon? How can we make Amazon work? And the only way to make Amazon work is if, one, it has to be a certain price point within grocery to make any amount of money. And if you look at our website, that's a big thing that we do is our seasoning, our gift boxes, if you will, our variety packs. And that instantly jumped to our mind of like, we can do variety packs of all of our seasonings. We have 5. Let's come out with a 6th one to make a nice 6-pack. And then from there, we actually have quite a few seasonings that we don't carry anymore because we came up with different gift packs. With hot and spicy pack, we came out with an international box. And they just didn't work in our world. They did good enough, which wasn't worth the headache. And we've really refined within the past year of what we're actually selling. And specifically on Amazon, the gift boxes around Father's Day and Christmas are insanity. I forgot about some videos that I took that I'm editing down into like a very, very miniature documentary of a day in the life of our Christmas push. So we got down to number 2 in the United States for herb and seasoning gift boxes over Christmas, which is always cool to see. But we had we ran into some problems of getting the seasonings because we use a co-packer now. We couldn't keep up with production. We were literally hand producing everything for a long time. And they came out with a product that was super close to ours. I worked with them very, very, hands-on, and for less money than what we were doing it for. And we were like, okay, this makes sense. We have to do this. And luckily we found a good company that wasn't like, you should cut this out to cheapen your product. And it's like, no, this is what the product is. This is what we want to keep it as. So being able to do that opened up some avenues for us as well. But yeah, with those gift boxes, we sent 13,000 of them, and we got those seasonings. I I think it ended up being 14 days before they needed to be sent out before they could be up and available for Black Friday. So we had to make about 13,000 gift boxes in 14 days, and it was rough.
No sleep.
No, there was, I know for a fact I had 2 days that were about 18 hours just at the shop, and I live 45 minutes away from my shop.
Oof.
Wow.
So again, small business ownership.
Yeah, it's a grind. It's not easy being
No,
successful.
it isn't, but it's fun, in all
Yeah.
honesty.
Wow.
All right, so
Oh, sorry.
no,
Go ahead.
go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just going to say there's so many different things within food that keep on changing. People's feelings on different ingredients. You have big fast food joints going back to things like beef tallow for frying. So trying to maneuver all of those things on people's opinions and studies that are coming out, and just trying to stay ahead of things like those. Trying to figure out which trends are going to actually last versus the ones that are just going to fizzle out. Um, and that's honestly, that's part of the fun, is like taking in all of that content and information and figuring it out. But it can also be a crapshoot, because then you have to explain why a certain ingredient is in your product.
Mhm.
So
That makes sense.
yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So you talked about quite a bit of your challenges that you overcame in growing this. Maybe knowing what you know now and where you are now, is there anything in the past that you would have done differently with the knowledge you have now versus what you did before?
Yeah, for sure. So within the past year and a half, when we were making our own seasonings, it was really easy just to come out with a new one, and see if it did well. And if it did well enough, we'd keep it, and figure out how to market it. Now utilizing a co-packer, it's not that easy because they have minimums that we have to meet, which is totally fine. I get it. But we went within the past year and a half, we went from having 22 seasonings down to 13. And we're actually transitioning a few of those seasonings that we have to more of a seasonal product. So we're only going to be coming out with it for about a 4-month time span per year, which is good. That's a really good way to market it, is you can't just buy this whenever, you have to buy it now. But it also, when you're fighting in the world of McCormick and Kinders comes out with things all the time, and it's really good, don't get me wrong, but they have such a huge product line that you have to fight that a little bit and know when to come out with stuff. The other thing, and I was kind of excited about this question, because I made a really stupid mistake with our first batch of sauces. And it was one of the biggest learning experiences that I had across the board. If you can go back and find, we used to be in glass bottles for our sauces. And if you could go back and find one of our original sauces, it was on the shelves of 3 major grocery stores within the Madison area. The name of our business is spelled wrong. Whoops. So obviously the Tailgate Foodie, it was spelled tail, GATATE, on our label. So we jokingly call it tailgatate.
Collector's
So
item.
it's a running joke now, but when it was caught, and we printed off 5,000 labels, that was a rough oopsie.
Yeah.
Especially right at the beginning.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
But yeah, I would say a lot of it is like almost kind of slow your roll. Like, you have to go for things, but also slow it down a little bit, solidify a product line before coming out with a new thing. Because on our old website, it was pretty overwhelming when you would go into our seasonings and be like, which one should I buy? And now it's pretty refined, in my opinion. People know where to go. They know what to expect with our flavor profiles. So now as we continue to grow those and people enjoy those, we can come out with a new product and be like, hey, this is a new one. And people will jump at it instead of being like, oh, it's just another one in the 30,000 products that are on your website.
Sounds like Buffalo Wild Wings.
Yeah.
I'm just kind of thinking about what you said before, where you have these 3 seasonings, and they can be used anywhere, like in the kitchen, on the grill, in the smoker, and I really like I like that philosophy for sort of making that stuff.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking like beyond the recipes, beyond that sort of stuff. What's the experience or the message that you're hoping people can take away from using your product?
Yeah. Honestly, kind of that. Like, we've been marketed to in such a specific way, and it's very well done by the bigger companies, that you have to use this on the grill. So when people buy stuff, we get messages fairly regularly. Hey, I bought this at a trade show. I don't know how to use it now. It's like, well, it's kind of self-explanatory in my mind.
Yeah.
But people think that because we're an outdoor cooking company and that's what we're marketing towards, that you have to use it on a grill, on a smoker. And that's just not the case. One of our first seasonings that we came out with, outside of the core 5 that we still have, was a chili seasoning. We found out pretty early on that we didn't want to put it in packets because it was so time consuming for us to do it. So we just came out with it in the bottle. It sold horribly, just so bad. And it was one of my favorite seasonings that we had. And it was because people are so used to buying chili seasoning out of a packet.
Yeah.
So they looked at the bottle and they were like, well, I don't know how to use that, when it's the same exact thing that's coming out of the bottle versus the packet. And it was like that was pretty eye-opening for us, of like, okay, obviously we're not going to change everybody's mind about this stuff, but like that's why you'll see, the bottles that we sent you are 3 bigger bottles. So they are meant for bigger cuts of meat. So you have a brisket, you have pork butt, and you have like whole turkey, chicken, things like that. And they're in the classic, the ones that meat church is in, the bigger 16-ounce bottles. All of our other product line, as far as seasonings go, are in the 4-ounce bottles. And the reason behind that is there is 7 tablespoons, 6 to 7 tablespoons of product in that single bottle. And what we tell people to do is season 1 pound with 1 tablespoon of product. So it's like that one bottle's getting you pretty far. And I don't know about you guys, but before I started this company, I had so many bottles, those big bottles, sitting in my cupboard that were harder than a diamond.
Yep.
And I just had to throw them away. And it's like, what's the point of me buying all these big bottles when I'm just going to throw them away? Or I could give people a discount as soon as they buy 2 of the smaller bottles that I have, and they get a fresher product whenever they want to use it. And then the other point of your question that I kind of had in my mind is, I want people to, even though I tell people like 1 tablespoon per pound, it's like one of the most fun times that I have cooking is just like throwing shit into a pot and seeing if it works. And I had to start writing recipes down, because the QR code on the side of our seasoning takes you to a cookbook for our products. So it's like I need to tell people exactly what they need to do. But sometimes, like if you watch any of my videos, I'm not measuring anything. I'm just throwing it in. If it's close to a tablespoon, cool. If it needs a little bit more of something, cool, throw it in there. Like you don't have to be exact with it. And I think that makes it so much more fun and less scary, in all honesty. Because if you screw it up and you taste it and you're like, oh, this is trash, throw a little bit more something in it. Like figure it out. That's the fun part of cooking.
Yeah.
I'm loving the logic and the ease that you're describing in all this. It's awesome.
And if you look at each of our bottles, we came up with it. It's a funny way that we came up with, making fun of other companies in this way. We call it the Certified Flavor Project. So it's the way it's kind of mocking the certified non-GMO and all of that stuff. It's all marketing stuff. A lot of those things, when you get into this industry and see where products are coming from, it's like, oh, that's just a marketing term at this point. And that's fine. Like if, people are vegan or whatever. I think the funniest one was a very prominent seasoning company in our industry, came out with a pork rub and it's kosher. And it's like, but kosher diet can't eat pork. Like, it doesn't need to be kosher. And that was such a like, what are we doing? So we don't even have any of that stuff on our labels. People that are gluten free know where gluten is, and they can read a label, so it's up to them. If they want to buy our stuff, they can. If they reach out and ask us, is it gluten free? I'm not going to be like, why are you asking this? I would never do that. But I think it is up to the consumer whether they want to buy from us based on what our label says,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, cooking is definitely a science, but you gotta have a
Yeah.
little bit of mad scientist in you as
Oh,
well.
yeah.
To go through. I agree with you 100%. So that's my favorite part too. I can totally relate.
Oh, yeah.
So I mean, who are to keep going here? Who are the big
Yeah.
barbecue inspirations that you follow and why? And I mean, besides us, obviously. So we're
Yeah. All four of you, of course.
Yeah.
Somebody that you guys had on, Susie from Hey Grill Hey.
Yes, Susie and Todd. Yeah.
Yeah. So obviously coming from the blog background, like she probably has the biggest blog as far as barbecue goes. I'd be shocked to see anybody bigger than that, to be honest with you. So she was a huge inspiration to start. Seeing all the things that she could do, the fact that she's from the Midwest, it isn't just a Southern thing. I agree that a lot of good barbecue comes out of the South. But if you talk to people from the South, a lot of really bad barbecue comes from the South as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like when you have thousands of restaurants, there's going to be some bad ones. So she's kind of the one that sparked the interest in going the direction that I did. Because even though barbecue is like a huge portion of what we do, we don't necessarily consider ourselves like a barbecue company, because we have so many different avenues of flavor and products. And that it's well over 50% of what we do, don't get me wrong. And I love it. It's a lot of what we do for recipes and everything, but we have so many other things that we do. And we didn't want to get pigeonholed quite down to that level. But so Susie, and then after that, I started really getting into the barbecue cooking shows. So I actually just emailed last week Christy Vanover,
Nice.
and she's super nice. And then Tuffy Stone, love that guy. Let's see here, a lot of the bigger guys, that you see on TV. But then with the way YouTube is right now and my lack of television, there's so many really cool content creators on YouTube, that are all over the place when it comes to like food in general. They make barbecue, but they are off the rails doing, Blackstone stuff, off the rails doing, 3-course meals that are Michelin level. And so I consume so many different types of food content. It's not just barbecue. Barbecue's probably my favorite part of it, but it's a lot of YouTube personalities right now.
Sweet. Awesome.
Nice. You talked about your tailgate failure, but has there been any other failures? Maybe you were trying a new seasoning and you tried it on something, you're like, oh, this tastes terrible.
Yeah.
Is there anything like that you learned from?
Yeah. So tailgate is my biggest financial failure. That was costly. But as far as this kind of goes back and ties in with that certified flavorful thing. So kind of the overarching thing behind that is that's my process on coming out with a new product. So when I test stuff, I make sure that it tastes good in its raw form before cooking with it. and then I cook with it, in the kitchen grill smoker. And based on that, I usually sometimes have to change salt and sugar content is kind of where it sways. And then sometimes in my brain, I'm like, oh, this flavor profile, like this thing works and this thing works. Let's put them together. And then you taste it and you're like, that was trash. Like, what happened? And I think the biggest thing, the real life situation of that is my favorite barbecue sauce, the All American. Um, so the story behind that is far before uh, Tailgate Foodie was even a thought. It was like 2.5, 3 years. My brother had purchased a Pit Boss for the first time. I think it was like 2015 ish time frame. And so we just started going down the avenue of like, what would it look like for us to come out with our own sauce? And some of the sauces that we came out were disgusting. Like, we're not going to use these. They get dumped down the drain type of gross. Um, but it kind of always was that base level of the All American, that the flavor profile that we wanted, where it starts off sweet and it keeps on maneuvering, was the flavor profile that we wanted. But we were throwing in herbs and stuff that just didn't make sense because we didn't understand what we were doing. And within the first year, I would say more often than not, the sauce went down the drain than being used. And now we have this again. I can't be objective about it because it's my favorite and it's mine. I think it's a top tier sauce on the market. It just does a whole bunch of different things flavor wise. It's thinner than a lot of barbecue sauces, so you can almost use it as a glaze, but it's thicker than a glaze, so you can use it as a barbecue sauce. So it's kind of that cool in between of a sauce that I just don't understand how we got to the place that we did from where we started, because what we have in the bottle now is very good, and what we started off was trash.
Dean, all the backyard barbecuers want to know, you have a Friday night off in the middle of summer. You're not influencing. You're off the clock. What are you
Yeah.
making? Maybe it's on the barbecue. Maybe it's something not barbecue related at all. What is it?
So I love barbecue. I love, like I was saying, I love the process of it. But if I'm just chilling, I tend to it kind of it's hard because I come from a world where I like going out to fine dining. Like, I really enjoy eating at really nice restaurants. My wife and I both do. So it's like sometimes I'll sous vide a steak for 4 hours and then, make a rice pilaf and blah 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 blah, all those fancy words. But then one of my favorite things that I've ever made for the Tailgate Foodie is Nashville hot chicken sloppy joes with dill pickle coleslaw, and it takes 20 minutes, and it's fantastic. Like that's what my wife wants more than any of, like, she was like, I don't care if you ever make me a steak again. If you make me those sloppy joes, let's just do that.
Is that recipe available somewhere?
It is, yeah.
Did
It's
I miss
on
it?
it's on our website. Yep.
Oh.
If you go into red, oh
Yeah.
yeah.
I saw it on there. Yep.
Oh yeah, that is, and the really cool thing about that one specifically. So I don't know if you guys are craft beer people at all, but Carbon 4 Brewery out of Madison, they kind of helped us get our start at the very beginning, during that COVID time, when the NBA finals was like, when was it, in the middle of July, August time
Yeah.
frame.
Bubble.
And yeah, the bubble. But they were allowed to have a certain amount of people in the brewery. And we had gotten a contact through them somehow. And they were like, do you want to come make food during the finals? And one of the things was the Nashville hot chicken sloppy joes. And those things, you can eat them with like Tostitos as just like a dip. Man, now I want to go make those.
Yeah.
So do I.
But yeah, it's really hard for me because I really, like I said, we had international flavors as well. So I came up with the core recipe, but there was a significant person in my life from the location that I chose. So we had like an Indian curry one, Korean barbecue, Jamaican jerk, things like that. So I really like making that type of stuff as well. I just like making food in general. and just so happened to land in this barbecue world. That, don't get me wrong, is super fun, and I think it's really fun to play around with non-traditional things. Is one of my favorite things to do. A running joke that I have is anything that I come up with, I like to learn what the tradition is, and like really solidify my learning and know how to do that, and then punch the tradition in the face and do what I want. So you're always going to get like you're going to get the reminiscence of what that was supposed to be, and it's going to remind you of those traditional flavors, but it's going to have something unique about it that is ours. So it really depends on what I'm feeling, and it changes on what my life is going on in that time frame.
That's awesome. Yeah, variety is the spice of life.
I agree.
Wow, Dean, that's awesome. So, Dean, our next, what we call the sizzle round, is kind of like a lightning round, but not really a lightning round.
Sure.
Take your time, answer, not a hurry. It's just fun to see everyone, like all our guests, and there's a lot of similarities, but then also the differences too, as well. So we'll start off with the sizzle round, and we'll just keep on alternating questions.
Sure.
And there's about 10 or so. So
Sure.
I think, Petey, you're starting us off.
All right, here we go. First up is favorite cut of meat to barbecue.
So I would say, if I just had to go grab something from the grocery store real quick without looking anything over, boneless, skinless chicken thighs. I think I stand by the fact that I think it's the best bang for your buck in barbecue, because I can go get multiple pounds of it for less than $10. And I throw them on the smoker. I'm a shitty smoking person because I just have pellet. I don't have the time to get into wood yet.
All right,
Like I
that's
want
all
to,
right.
but I just haven't got to yet. So I throw it on my pit boss at 300 degrees. I season it up and I baste it after a half hour a couple times. I pull it off and I'll either shred it or leave it whole for a sandwich or whatever, and it's perfect every time. I'll finish it over the fire pot. Now, if I have the time, I think trying to master whole turkey, is awesome because it's so difficult to get a good turkey that's good all around. Dark meat's always going to be good, but the white meat, the breasts and stuff, if you can figure out how to do those correct, I think turkey is a very underrated cut of barbecue, personally.
All right,
Great
next
answers.
question, because sorry, I interrupted, Z.
No, just great
Okay,
answers.
right,
That's
yeah.
all.
Since you already answered this, I'm gonna force you to answer outside of your own products.
Sure.
Favorite rub outside of your own products.
Favorite rub. Let's see here. Can I say favorite product line instead of
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
So I tell people all the time, if I didn't start my own company, I would be all about Kinders. I think a lot of their flavors are very tasty. I think there's a complexity to them that a lot of other companies don't have, and it's unique. I talk about this a lot, and people call it shit talking. I don't think it is, but that a lot of stuff on the shelves, in my opinion, tastes the same because it's literally the same product from a different co-packer. It happens quite a bit. I literally today started getting fed an ad that was a company that said, "Your label, our proven product." And it's like, well, that's the same thing as everybody else's. Then it's just a different logo. What are you doing? And I don't think Kinders does that. I might be wrong, but I don't think they do. And I know Meat Church has a couple that I've had. I haven't had the new ones, Blanco or Sugar, the sugar one.
Texas sugar.
Yes, it's the light blue label.
Yep.
I haven't had those two, but his line, I mean, Matt Pittman is an OG. Like that dude is good at what he does. He knows the business in and out. So I'd say kinders are probably meat church.
Nice.
All right. Favorite side to prepare?
Ooh, mac and cheese. Not close.
That was easy.
All right.
No, I have an entire business plan dedicated to a mac and cheese food truck. So
Oh, that's awesome. I love it. Love it.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing my next one was favorite side to eat, but I'm guessing that is mac and cheese as
mac
well.
and cheese, not close.
All right. Love it. Love it.
No,
All right.
so with mac and cheese, what people don't realize that if you toast the noodles 350 degrees, depending on what your oven is capable of, sometimes 10 minutes is a little too long. But just pay attention to them. Toast your noodles at 350 degrees for like 7 to 10 minutes until they start getting brown, and then boil them. You get this really rich, nutty flavor from roasting the noodles noodles are just like an avenue. They're just a thing to get cheese into your mouth. Whereas if you toast them, you actually get a flavor that comes through with the cheese that you're doing. It's absolutely phenomenal. It's so good.
That's
Oh,
awesome.
I've never heard that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
No, that's a great point. Awesome.
all right. Preferred smoker or grill to work with?
So I have exclusively used pit bosses as far as smokers go my entire smoking career. And I push people towards pit boss for starters and honestly for people that have been into it for a while. I think they're a really good product. It doesn't break down. They're sturdy. Mine's sitting outside on my deck right now in the middle. It's 8 degrees out right now. I could go turn it on and smoke whatever I wanted to right now, and it'd work perfectly fine. I did just get a charcoal grill back. I got rid of a grill when I was in the apartment because I got this baby little pit boss smoker. So I'm excited to go back down the charcoal avenue and have some fun with that. And honestly, if I had the money, I would pay to get one of those really cool Yoder smokers.
Oh, those are awesome.
Yeah. Or have you guys? I'm so bad at pronouncing it. Chasen Smoke. They're out of Wisconsin. They're out of Grant County.
Oh, no, I haven't.
They're look them up on social media, specifically Instagram or TikTok. They have hundreds of thousands of followers, and they make rocket stoves.
Yes.
But they very recently started getting into pellet smokers and stuff like that. So I think if my pit boss ever broke down, I would probably get one of those just because they're local and it'd be fun to support something like that. But for right now, rocking my pit boss 850 Pro Series, and it's a champion. Like it hasn't failed me yet.
Yeah, I have a pit boss, and I've had it for 7 years.
Yeah.
And I haven't had one problem with it.
Nope.
So I'm with you. That was my first one. Now I have too many, but it was that's my go-to when I need to something.
Yeah. My wife would kill me if I get any more. So
Yeah.
All right. Preferred smoking temperature.
250. Part of that is the one issue that I have had with my pit boss is that it doesn't love 225 specifically in cold, because it'll just overfeed itself and burn itself out. But the other side of it is because I run it at 250 in the cold, I haven't seen that drastic of a difference between running it at 225 or 250. As far as flavor goes, 250 gets me there a half hour, 45 minutes faster. And that's why if I'm ever doing ribs or anything like that, I don't do 3-2-1. I do 3-1-1. Cause you get a little bit more smoke on the front end. You still get that, looser texture of the rib. But besides you, Chris, growing up in Wisconsin, we were born and raised eating overcooked ribs, fall off the bone. So if I'm cooking for other people, I'll make them fall off the bone because that's the expectation. If it's me and my wife, it's 3-1-1 all day. But yeah, 250 if I'm doing poultry. If I'm doing small cuts of poultry, I run the temperature up 300, 350, or it just dries out on me. But any longer smokes, it's 250.
I mean, let's be clear, like the UP is just really an
No,
extension.
don't go there. Don't go there.
Oh,
Don't go there.
it's
Don't
Wisconsin
go
Stop
there.
Hat.
Oh,
It
no,
is.
no. Oh, God, you're killing me here. Dean, they know how to get me wild up. They know how to get me all fired up.
I
So I
I
refer
think
to
I think the Badgers versus the Wolverines, whoever wins each year should just take ownership of the
Yeah.
UP.
I don't know if we.
We could call it the lake. We could call it Lake Wisconsin instead of Lake Michigan.
Yes.
Yeah.
I just after that happened, I put up a post that I started calling it the Gulf of Tailgate Foodie.
Call it whatever we want.
Yeah. Hey, Dean, I think it was Captain Ron who we had on here.
Mhm.
He when we asked him that, he said 275 because he doesn't see a difference ever with the flavor between 225, 250, and 275. So
I
just around your thinking too as well.
Yeah, if my pit boss would let me do 275
Yeah,
instead of
I
pumping it
know.
up, I would probably do that too.
Yeah.
I think it's our Lord and Savior Aaron Franklin runs between 250 and 275 on his briskets.
Mhm.
And it's like if that dude's doing it, I
Yeah.
think he's got it pretty well figured out.
Yeah. I agreed with you.
Yeah, I think Susie said she did 250 or 275.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Also,
Susie
I
did
can't
too.
remember
Yeah.
exactly.
Or you have people like Myron Mixon who runs fast and hot for brisket at comps. And he runs between 300 and 325 and gets done in 5 hours. And he wins all the time. So
Yep.
but his process, I've done his process before. I don't know if you guys have.
No, we haven't.
It's like a 72-hour process. So all of the work goes in the front end because you're injecting it with broth, with fat. You're letting it brine for like 24 hours. So like all the work goes in the front end, and then you can go hot and fast because of all that work. Whereas if you were just to throw a brisket on it 300, 325, I don't think it would work quite as well.
I can tell you that it does not.
Good to know.
Your brisket jerky. Oh, I lost track
Alright.
here.
What is your go-to type of pellet for your pit boss?
I just use so I recently got turned on to a company called is it Smoky Woods? They're out of Wisconsin as well. They're out of the Northwoods. It's either Smoky Woods or Smoking Woods. They're at Ace Hardwares everywhere. And if I'm not mistaken, they use all hardwoods out of the state of Wisconsin. That might not be completely true. They are a little pricier, but what I was running before was just the Pit Boss comp because I don't see a massive difference as far as flavor goes unless I do it. What I'll do is run a cheaper blend through through the smoker itself, and then if I want an additional flavor, if I want more of a pecan wood, I'll do that either in a smoke tube or I'll buy wood chunks and have it in the smoker itself. Going with, but I just haven't seen that drastic of a difference when you're running it through the smoker itself because smokers are so efficient that it's just kind of burning that flavor out. And honestly, when a lot of these companies, I think Traeger got in trouble for marketing that they were using different woods when they weren't. They were just adding oils to make it smell like that. And then when the fire hit it, it would burn that oil and it didn't actually turn into flavor at all. And that's why, what's the main charcoal brand that I can't think of?
Royal Oak or
No, not Royal Oak. It's the blue bag with the
Kingsford.
yeah,
Kingsford.
Kingsford.
Oh,
So they came out with their pellets and they had like cumin, coriander, and it's like, well, they're just adding oil into the wood. It smells good, but it doesn't actually add that flavor to whatever you're smoking.
I agree.
Yep.
So, and then I have a Costco membership. So the Kirkland brand is a really solid pretty low amount of filtering that I have to do at the bottom of the bag. I don't have an issue with burnouts or anything like that, and it's like $20 for a 40-pound bag or something like that.
That's good.
It's cheap as hell.
Yeah.
So when I want to support local and I run out, I run down to my, True Value and grab Smoky Woods. But if I have some time, I'll probably just go grab Costco brand, in all honesty.
Yeah. Favorite pitmaster to work with, or maybe one you aspire to work with?
Yeah, I mean, I aspire to work with so many. But as far as ones that I've closely worked with, there aren't many. I don't know if you guys have been in the Sun Prairie area at all. But about 2 years ago, Primal Q is a new barbecue joint. They do everything Texas style. And I'd have the potential of working hand in hand with them with some stuff. Very potential. I don't even know if I should have said it here, but it is what it is. I don't think they would care. Just with some fun stuff. So that could be really unique, a really unique experience. They have custom made Texas style smokers, trailer smokers that are they look like the gas tanks, but there's two of them. They're gigantic. They're like 4 or 5 doors big. It's huge. They're Jesse James brand. But there's, I actually want to reach out to Susie because we're local. I think that would be really cool to work with her just based on the blogging background and her unique approach to barbecue. Kind of the same people that have kind of got me into this entire world are the same people that I would really enjoy just picking their brain, even if I didn't get to necessarily hang out with and cook with, just like sit and pick their brain. I think would be really, really fun.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. Todd and Susie are the salt of the earth. They'll get
Yeah.
back to you, and they're phenomenal people.
I know I've messaged them about something a super long time ago. Actually it was loosely about something like this where I put up like if it wasn't for companies like Sweet Baby Ray's, I wouldn't exist. And Susie was a part of that with Hey Grill Hey, and she messaged me back, "Thank you so much for the shout out. Thank you for like saying that I'm part of your inspiration, things like that." And then my business partner has reached out to her about a couple things as well. And yeah, super responsive.
Yeah.
Which is pretty unheard of.
Yeah.
We're going down the avenue of affiliate marketing and stuff like that, and there's a lot of people that are much, much smaller than her that are requesting an insane amount of money for a single video,
Really.
and or just leaving us on red. Like they read it, don't get back to us. It's like, okay, that's fine. Is what it is.
Yeah.
All right, my favorite question. I'm a music guy. So favorite music or streaming station?
I don't know what it is about. So I use Spotify free version because it's free, and
Yeah.
the free version of Spotify is better than the free version of Pandora, in my opinion. I don't know what it is about like the Black Keys and that style. Black Keys, Cam Cole, Gary Trent Jr. Nope, that's a basketball player.
Yep.
You know who I'm talking? Gary Clark Jr. or
Yep.
Jr. There we go. I don't know what it is about that style of music. It just makes me want to sit out on my deck and smoke a cigar and drink some drinks and just smoke some food. I don't know what it is. Every time it pops on, I'm like, I just need to go cook something and drink something because
I
it
love
just
it.
gets me going. I don't know.
There's nothing better than that.
Yeah.
Nothing.
All right, so kind of piggybacking off of this, and now that we finally have a fellow Wisconsinite on the podcast, this is the question everyone's been waiting for. But what's your preferred beverage to hold while
Sure.
barbecuing?
While I'm barbecuing, so funny enough, because this is my full-time job and I'm the content creator behind the Tailgate Foodie, I'm smoking most of my meat on weekdays during the day, so I'm not drinking too often. When I am doing it, it depends on how long the cook is, to be honest with you. If I'm doing a long cook, I'm probably just sticking with some beer. because I don't need to get shit faced and pass out and forget that I'm cooking something. But I mean, right now I have a high proof bourbon that I'm sipping on.
Nice.
And for some of the shorter cooks, sitting outside. But overall, hilariously, I'm a big wino. I'm a big wine guy. And I do think there's a world of barbecue and wine that just is
Yep.
untapped. I think that some of those deep, rich red wines with a smoked brisket is one of the most incredible bites and drinks that you can do as a combo. Throwing a stogie on the side there, and it's just heaven. It is heaven. I feel like a 50-year-old man right now.
We love it. We love it. No, that's what like Al Frugoni was talking about. He
Frugoni,
does wine and beef
Yeah.
all the time.
And a
Yep.
cigar. Yep. Yeah, it was exactly.
Yeah.
So every year, instead of coming out with a real New Year's resolution, I come up with something stupid that I'm going to do that year. So last year I grew my beard out for the entire year. That was my New Year's resolution, and I nailed it. I did great. But in like 2018, it was to drink more wine. And that actually got me into like the more nuanced versions of wine and flavor profiles and how to use it in cooking and stuff like that. So it actually helped a lot because I really enjoy just sipping on a glass of wine now and cooking. It's great.
That's good. That is great.
So Dean, to end our interview, fans would love to know what the Tailgate Foodie has, coming down the pipeline, maybe inform the listeners a little bit on what's going to be new and exciting coming your way from Tailgate Foodie.
So we're really diving into, like I loosely talked about, kind of the affiliate side, working with content creators, working with, it doesn't matter the size. You could be 500 followers, and we're reaching out to somebody that has 4 million followers next week. So kind of everything in between. And the nice thing about where we've kind of positioned ourselves again as not just barbecue is we fit into a whole bunch of different pathways of sports, barbecue, outdoor camping, hiking, hunting. So there's a lot of different pathways that we can really spread ourselves, which gets the brain going in a bad way sometimes because there's so many different things that we could be doing. But the affiliate side of things, we're really pushing on getting into more grocery stores. So we're in quite a few grocery stores in the Madison-Dane County area. And we want to push that beyond and get into more stores throughout the state of Wisconsin as a whole. So lots of time dedicated to that as well. We utilize this online company called Fair as well. Fair is a online wholesaler, so we're in like 60 plus stores throughout the nation, utilizing that, whether it's meat markets, boutique stores. So we're really just pushing, getting bigger, if you will. Along with some of that affiliate stuff, I'm not going to say the affiliate's name or the content creator's name, but we are actually coming out with a new product with a content creator out of Wisconsin. And it's going to be, if you pay attention, around late March to early April. And I can tell you guys after this, but I'm not going to say it on the podcast. But we are that's a really fun, new, exciting thing to actually come out with a product with a different person. Because everything's been internal. Obviously, working with somebody else is a completely new, different experience for us. Because we can, not walking on eggshells, but you're just learning how somebody else works. So that's been really unique and fun. And just solidifying our product line that is in existence right now. I think I've talked about how we utilize QR codes on the side of all of our products, and that's a cookbook for that product in particular. So with that, I come up with all those different recipes. And they're all very, very simple. Some of them can be a little bit more time consuming, but they're still simple. And so I'm doing a lot of content behind those creations. So spending a lot of time basically being our own content creator and own affiliate, if you will. So growing our social media and stuff like that, which is something I didn't think was a thing in small business. And then you become a small business owner and all of a sudden you are your own content creator. So that's pretty unique. Let's see here. We are doing, we're signing up for a couple new events. We're the past 2 to 3 years, we're just kind of throwing shit at the wall, seeing what sticks as far as events go. We've really solidified the ones that are good, and we've pulled out of the ones that are bad. Now we're throwing our hat into bigger, better, signing up for the state fair for Wisconsin this year.
Nice.
Signing up to go down to the American Royal and be a vendor down there.
Nice.
So hopefully that works out. That'd be really, really cool. Just trying to find those bigger stepping stones for us. And then honestly, just keeping our books open and being able to be flexible is really, really nice in this world. Because if something pops up that sounds good for us, we can jump on it.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, Dean, we appreciate you so much. It was awesome. And, this is a big step for us too, is having someone local in Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Our mission was to get some big names on there just to kind of start spreading the word, get people to listen to maybe the two people that listen to us, but now we're into Wisconsin here, and just the barbecue scene that's so like, just people don't understand that it does happen here.
Oh yeah.
Aspects of it. So you're our first Wisconsinite, and we're super pumped to have you on here, and hopefully I'll get to have you back on here and continue.
That'd be awesome.
Developing our relationship, and we'll definitely be promoting you on here too as well, and looking forward to that, all those the sauces and stuff coming in. And
oh yeah,
we just appreciate you. So if there's anything you want to say to when we sign off, but I always ask you if our guests to, when we're done, to sign off, as our tagline is "Smoke on." So if you wouldn't mind, if there's anything else you'd like to add, or just simply, smoke on, we'll end our podcast tonight.
Sure. Smoke on.